Yes, I think we have. Oh, we've got some people on board. I can see Luku, and I can see Ben and Ban. So welcome all of you to our live online chat. We call ourselves AI for IAs, that is AI for independent artists. And these folk are all part of a core team, but anybody that wants to participate and join in and be part of the chat as a guest, we're very welcoming for your ideas, for your thoughts. We'll talk about initially our mission. But before, I think if each of us can introduce ourselves. I'm Dave Brown. I'm a theatre maker, a creator, maker, thinker, tinker. I've been involved mainly in theatre, and this world of podcasting and so on is something quite new to me. When I say new, it's been slow brewed over 5 years. But that's the way we tend to do things around here. Steve, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Dave. Yes, so my name's Stephen Noonan, and I work in theatre and dance, and probably for the last 15 years I've just started to specialise in theatre for very young audiences, and work with Dave a lot on making those and then producing and touring those works. Over to Susan.
Hi everyone, I'm Susan Huang. I'm a children's theatre maker, producer and youth wellbeing and drama educator. I'm based in Gadigal, Sydney. I'm here with this group learning how to best utilise AI to help us as independent artists thrive in what we do best.
Over to you, Bianca.
Hello, I'm Bianca. I call myself a designer and maker. I design in the world of theatre, and I'm a fabricator, and I also fabricate and make props in the film world. So very much like to be hands-on and using my hands, and definitely interested in AI tools taking some of the burden of business admin off my hands.
Oh yes, aren't we all? So here's our mission, if you like. We're not tech experts or AI evangelists. We're just curious artists, and we're sharing how we're using personalised agentic AI to augment our powers as independent creative artists. So our thought is that instead of allowing AI to replace human creativity, we're focused on personalising agentic AI systems to assist, collaborate and enhance rather than steal and imitate, so that AI augments our human capacities, doesn't replace them. So the way we run in this sort of online presentation is to do a variety of things. And last week, Susan Huang presented some ideas to us, a provocation, if you like, and she's got another one under her belt for today. So over to you, Susan.
I did. So last time we looked at Matt Schumer's viral essay, and his essay was about something big is happening and most people aren't paying attention. So today we're going to go one level deeper, because once you accept that something big is happening, the next question is, what does that actually mean for us humans, and specifically for us as independent artists and creatives? So today we're looking at, there's a strategist, his name is Rashad, I hope I'm saying this right, Tabakawala, and he answers this question really well in his keynote called Staying Human in the Age of AI. So first, who is he and why should we listen to him? I always think that's quite important. Tabakawala is not a tech entrepreneur, nor is he an AI researcher. He's spent the last 40 years working at the intersection of business, media, and human behavior, and most recently as a Chief Growth Officer at Publicis Group, which is one of the world's largest marketing communications company. So this particular keynote he delivered to a room of senior enterprise architects, some of the most tech-savvy professionals in the world. And what gives this perspective its weight is that it's truly pattern recognition from someone who's seen something like this before. And so he's speaking to people that are living the tech and are right in it. So his idea in this talk is that AI is not an extension. He says that every technology in history, fire, the printing press, the internet, has extended what humans could already do. So they made us more powerful, more connected, more informed. He says AI is different. It's not extending our brain, it's actually creating a new one. So a parallel form of intelligence that operates independently at speeds beyond human comprehension. So quoting, he says, all previous technologies enhanced and made valuable knowledge. AI will make knowledge completely free and not monetizable. And all of us are knowledge workers. A lawyer charges because they know the law and you don't. A doctor charges because they understand the body and you don't. An accountant charges because they know the tax code and you don't. So that gap, that's what people have always paid for. AI is closing that gap, and it's closing it fast. Need a contract drafted? AI. Need a diagnosis? AI. Need a logo? AI. You get the point. Knowledge is becoming, he says, like tap water, available to anyone instantly for almost nothing. So if it stops being the thing people pay for, what is the thing that people pay for? And that's the question that this talk is really asking. So what will disappear and what won't? He expects that 20 to 30% of current tasks, in his words, will be simply machined away, not reassigned to humans using AI, just gone. But here's where it gets interesting. He makes a really important distinction between computing machines and feeling machines. So again, his quote, computers are digital silicon-based computing machines. We humans are analog carbon-based feeling machines. And he asks, if humans were optimized purely for efficiency, then why do we wear expensive watches when our phones keep better time? Why do we choose luxury brands when cheaper alternatives work just as well? Because, and this is the line, humans choose on stories. We choose on identity, we choose on design, we choose on desire. People choose with their hearts, then they use the numbers to justify what they just did. So for independent artists, this is actually great news because this is our work. Story, identity, desire, all these things he thinks is not going anywhere. So what do we lean into? His framework for navigating, he's broken down into 3 words: embrace, adapt, and complement. So embrace AI, learn it, use it, stop resisting it. Adapt, accept that some of what we currently do will be machined away and stop clinging onto it. And complement, find where your uniquely human strengths integrate with what machines can do. He identifies 4 things that machines can't replicate: intuition, insight, imagination, and interaction. It's basically an independent artist's job description. And he closes on this: only messy humans can connect with messy human beings. So I've got some questions that I'm going to pass over to Stephen, Dave, and Bianca. Stephen, he says that 20 to 30% of current tasks will just disappear entirely. So I guess when you look at your own work, what's the 20 to 30% that you think will go first?
I think it will be the describing and collating what I do, because that for me is, a really, it just takes time, and to collate all those thoughts for a proposal, for an application, for an acquittal, using AI to describe and, pull together what I've been working on into words. At the moment, that's where I'm going to save that 20%, 30% of my time.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Dave, so he makes a point that humans choose on stories and identity, not efficiency. As someone who works with many independent creatives, do you think that creatives already understand that that's their edge, or do they still need more convincing?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't think it's a competition, because it suggests by having an edge that we're better at some things than AI is, and that's true, but I don't think that's a useful question. I think a better question maybe is, how can we treat AI as an alien intelligence, if you like, from outer space? I mean, it's easier to perceive an intelligence coming from another place. So an alien intelligence, and it works differently, and we don't know how it quite how it works differently. Scientists don't even know how our consciousness works, how we can reflect on ourselves, and how how our consciousness works. It just does. It's a little like gravity. It exists, and we have laws that we can attribute to it, but we don't know how it works. And so I'm thinking that I would rather than determine what my edge is, I would rather determine how I can work towards a relationship with this alien that is co-productive.
That's a great way to think about it. And I guess that's why we're all here.
Yeah.
And Bianca, I guess when he speaks about embrace, adapt, and complement, where do you think you're personally on that journey?
I think you can have all three phases present at once in different areas of the things you're trying to achieve. But overall, I think I'm firmly in the adapt phase. I'm not clinging to the idea that there are old methods or right methods. There's never been a one-way approach to my work, the way that I build things, the way projects go, that, relationships with directors are different every time. I'd be really pleased to have AI take over the non-creative business administration so I can spend more time on the creative and human elements of the work and make sure that human connection stays front and center. But I will say that using AI takes time, and I don't think you can do it all. I don't think it's ever going to become a replacement for all aspects of everything. We're always going to want human connection, and there's going to be parts of a task that we are always going to want to do ourselves, even if it's a costume illustration, which is what I'm finding myself now, going back from digital to more manual watercolor and collage ways of doing things. It's like we always have a choice.
Yeah,
Lovely.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely for me as well, it's like I'm in all three phases at once, depending on the task at hand.
Yeah. I wonder if it's worth just going through those key ideas again and just take us through it. And if anybody wants to comment on any one of them, then do so. So, Suzanne, do you want to read that?
Sure. So if knowledge stops being the thing people pay for, what is the thing people pay for?
Yeah. So can anybody offer anything on that? Or want to offer anything on that?
I definitely want to say that taking something off my plate is something that I'll pay for. So I don't want to ask, learn the language to ask Claude a legal question, as was raised in the example. I want to be able to take that off my plate and hand that to somebody. And I think that will apply for lots of things, graphic design or some elements that you want to hand over to an expert.
Yeah, good point. Suzanne again?
All previous technologies enhanced and made valuable knowledge. AI will make knowledge completely free and not monetizable, but all of us are knowledge workers.
Are we all knowledge workers? Do you perceive that you're a knowledge worker, Steve?
I'm knowledgeable about my practice, but I don't think it goes for me beyond that.
It strikes me, because it strikes me. Let's take your practice. You create non-verbal, image-rich, music-rich work for 4-year-olds as your latest endeavour. That doesn't. There's no words there, and in terms of large language models, you can't actually give your work to Claude to even scrutinize because it's beyond language and it's poetic, it's metaphoric. And yes, Claude can give some wonderful insights, metaphorical insights, and I do think Claude has a sense of intuition and instinct, but what you're making is something that Claude couldn't possibly make. You know, it requires a physical presence. It requires the use of objects and space and people. So,
but what it is good at is that knowledge. It's then good at summarizing all of those things into words, and then I use that to give to the producer, to the teacher. So it, you know, it becomes a conduit, I suppose, or a transcriber of what I'm doing in the creative world, and making it word-based available to, you know, the next people down the line, whether it's, you know, that producer or that educator who wants to start, you know, programming or talking about it.
Yeah. Excellent. So I guess it doesn't seem to me as though you're a knowledge worker. You're commodifying knowledge. You personally, you are needing to disseminate knowledge in order to draw people to your to your manifestations. But the manifestations themselves contain knowledge, but they're certainly a different kind of knowledge to the sort of knowledge that AI can share. I'm just going to scan through these because we're running out of time for this segment. I think those 3 ideas are really interesting. Do you want to just take us through them again, Suzanne?
Yeah. So basically he says we lean into either embracing AI, so learning to using it, stop resisting it for the people that are, adapting it, so accepting accept that some of what we currently do will be machined away, and stop clinging to those skills and those tasks. Complement, finding where your uniquely human strengths integrate and what machines can do to help, I guess, strengthen your practice. And like a bit like Stephen, he's using it to being able to summarize the work and put the work into a marketable context for his audience.
Great. So we won't go into that one because I think it opens a can of worms. So we'll go back to Stephen, who's going. Last week, I said to Stephen, I said to the group, that AI starts afresh in every new chat, in every new thread. It knows nothing of what has gone before. And Stephen said, yeah, but I have chats and it seems to know me really well. And I said, well, we need to look at that because I keep hearing and that's not the case. So Stephen's going to take us through a set of slides that explain why AI does know something about you, but not nearly what it needs to know if it's going to be a personalised agent for you and working on your behalf. Sorry, Steve, there we go.
Yeah, so that was a really valuable question for me, I think, because, yeah, it's all about personalising what I'm doing. And so how does Claude know who you are? And basically understanding the memory and how that works with every interaction you have. So every new conversation, and this would be across all platforms, ChatGPT or Claude, I imagine.
Yes.
So every new conversation starts from 0. Claude has no memory of previous chats. Each session begins completely fresh. What you talked about yesterday gone, Claude genuinely cannot remember it. So we've worked out from getting Claude to explain it to us, it has 3 layers of knowing, 3 layers of memory. So when you first sign up to any of these platforms, they'll ask you a bit of a profile, and that's where you're writing in, your basic information about who you are, what, a couple of key questions. And so it will always go back and reference that when you ask something in a chat. Level 2 of its memories, the other auto memories, Claude extracts facts about your conversations and stories and stores them quietly in the background, so it can reference those. And these would be in, I'd say, the free platforms that plans. And then if you start to pay for using a paid program, then you can start uploading a dossier, which is a living document that you author, the richest layer. It's like your external brain that it's being able to ask to reference every time. So those, just breaking those three memories down, levels of memory, the profile. So that's that very beginning. So we can see here Dave's initial profile, Dave Brown, who was a freelance artist from Adelaide, South Australia. And his preference of interaction is that he wants a thinking partner, not an assistant. Then we go into the auto memories. So Claude watches your conversations and extracts the key information, stores them, and then can reference them. But it's good for facts, but not for great, creative, nuanced conversations.
Somebody said to me, it's like the barista that you visit once a day to get your coffee, and have bits and pieces of conversation, and that barista will know about that much about you, but it gives you the impression that the barista has a relationship with you, and that's what auto memories are about.
And I would say that those free plans that you can get, which are an excellent way to start, would cover those two first memory layers. But then when you start getting to a paid subscription, this is where you're getting the real use of an external brain. So it's a structured document that you create, and Dave's going to go through and explain how he did this. And Claude then, through your prompt, will reference that every time you have a chat or a question. It'll always go back. So yeah, just those three levels where it's your profile only, then it's some auto memories, and then the large dossier that you can upload. So what have we got here? Practical takeaways. So it's always good to go back to whatever platform you're on and just see what your initial profile is that you uploaded, just to see if that's current, because it's always going to go back and reference that. And then check your memories. You can go back into conversations, and if something's wrong, or if it started hallucinating, saying, hey, look, that's not correct for me, that's not true, and you can delete that. So you're building up an active and accurate memory bank.
Those auto memories, Steve, are just sitting there for us in Claude, and you can access that little package of memories and just check that they're accurate. So it's like the profile; it's just sitting there in your application.
Yeah, and then just following on from that, don't assume anything. Sort of always go back and just checking that what it's accessing in terms of what you're needing from it.
Yeah, and I'll go into that in the next session. And the sort of takeaway is that the goal isn't a smarter tool; it's a better thinking partner. And in order to do that, you need to be able to create a workflow that incorporates this memory function. And so I want to have a go at explaining that. So I'm going to do it in two ways. I'm going to talk about how AI can be used as a tool to support the writing of a grant application, because I think whenever I talk to independent artists, it's always I've got a grant to write and it's going to take 3 weeks, and there's so much work to do. How do we alleviate that problem of the time that we spend, that we could be spending doing our creative work, that we're spending on those sort of administrative and necessary blocks? So let's go into that. In order to understand what I'm going to say, I want to introduce a document that I produced, or that Claude produced on my behalf, from my written work on the ecology of the paper boats. And in order to understand what this grant writing application is about, I need to go through this very quickly. So this is the paper boats state of play right now and for the next year. And these are the layers of what we do. So we've got a podcast up here. We've got a series called What Are You Working On?, which is a series of interviews with independent artists. We've got a Substack newsletter that comes out weekly. We've got this project, Agentic AI, for independent artists. I'm working with Steve and on Steve's project, IC Red, which is a development and has been going for about 18 months and has got another year to go. And then the regional reach is a touring venture related to the IC Red development. International co-creation. We've got a team in America, in Austin, and Steve's visiting them next month, and hopefully we'll have time to talk more about that. And then mentorship and advocacy, which is a sort of a general tenet of the paper boats, and two main sort of groups that we're focusing on: independent artists and very young children. And so that's our ecology, if you like. And so with that in mind, we're going to jump into a little video that I prepared about this grant writing episode that I've undertaken over the last week or two. G'day, Dave Brown here, continuing my journey of setting up Claude Cowork as a personalised thinking partner. And today, I'm going to share the workflow that I've developed with Claude to complete a government grant application and the extraordinary efficiencies that AI delivered. So I guess we should start with something that we all know. A grant application can take 40 hours and often a lot more of unpaid work. For independent artists, every one of those hours is stolen from the creative work that we could be doing. That administrative burden, the budgets, the criteria compliance, the formatting, it's enormous. All for a 20 to 30% chance of success at best. And we're doing it alone without the staff or institutional support that funding companies take for granted. So, what if you had a collaborator? Not a tool that writes for you, but a thinking partner that works with you. One who understands your voice, knows your history, your projects, your values, who can draft, calculate, format and fact check while you focus on the visioning and the slow brewed conceptualizing. Well, since January this year, 2026, we've all had access to that collaborator for around $28 Australian a month. Now, as you know, I use Claude Cowork, and my main reason is that it has an articulated AI safety code that I appreciate. So when you're setting up a workflow, what I've learned is that the single most important thing to understand is that Claude has no memory of past conversations. None. It knows you no better than the barista who makes your coffee. Every new chat starts from zero. So the first thing I do every time I begin a serious conversation is this. I say, Claude, before starting work, read Dave's dossier. After completing work, update the dossier with what you've learnt. That single instruction changes everything. Now, Dave's dossier is a reference document about me, my history, my work, my values, my voice, my philosophy, and creative practice. Claude has summarised it all in this compact dossier, this living document that grows with every session I do with Claude. It means that I never start from scratch. Every future application, every bio, every pitch that I do, every project draws on this same living source document. And it gets richer every time I use it. So here's the workflow. Does it require some setting up? Yes. But here's the thing, it's no extra work, it's actually existing work reorganized for a new AI paradigm. So step one, I create a grants folder and give Claude access. Step two, into that folder go all the documents I already have. Former applications, my program outline, the conceptual framework for the grant, the rationale, the budget drafts, the bios, the support material. These are documents that I already have or that I'm developing as part of this application. So step 3, I add the empty application form and the funding body's criteria and guidelines to the folder. Then I ask Claude to read it all and draft responses to the key questions of the application. Now that first draft takes Claude about 5 minutes. Then I read what Claude's written and we iterate together. I refine, Claude responds, new ideas emerge, we sharpen the thinking, we clarify the voice, we shape the narrative thread through the whole document. Look, it's not rocket science. Anyone can do this. But there's a crucial principle, and that is quality in, quality out. Your ideas and programs need to be established and deeply thought through. The quality of the output is totally dependent on the quality you put in. And it's cumulative. Every outcome adds information to the dossier and supports the next application or whatever project you're looking at. Now the thing is, this went way beyond just the written sections of the application. Claude built, for example, an Excel budget with formulas from my draft budget, calculated to hit the exact funding target. It mapped expenditure categories to the online form and verified 0 variances. It created an ecology diagram for me and a project timeline, both as professional PDFs that I could include in the application. It generated a comprehensive 4-page CV for me from my dossier. Just about every document the application required was facilitated by Claude. A timeline, a risk assessment, success measures. The numbers speak for themselves. I estimate this saved me 30 to 40 hours at least. The entire application was completed in 3 days, not 3 weeks. All produced to a standard I couldn't have achieved alone without 3 weeks of work. It's amazingly powerful. 3 things matter here. Firstly, independent artists can now produce better applications in less time. Secondly, the dossier model means each application process becomes more efficient. And thirdly, the most important thing, is that the thinking stays yours. The AI handles the labour, you provide the vision and the voice. For an independent artist, it feels like you've suddenly got a team of very proficient people working with you on your creative vision, and that means a lot. It really does. So, the best place to start your AI thinking partner workflow is to build your dossier. And the best time to start was last week. The second best time to start is right here and now. So, let's do it. Okay, look, I've just looked at the time and we're 5 minutes over already and we've still got stuff to do. So I'm going to put Bianka and Greg's little talk, which is going to provide some discussion, some interesting discussion, I think, to next time. And we'll pick up then. So, and also I wanted to show you the structure that I have on my computer of folders. I think that's really important for people to be able to see what it actually looks like, you know, on your computer and how simple it is to actually construct. So thank you to everyone for your contributions this week, and thank you for those that watched in with us. We'll make a video of this and put it online for those people who weren't able to be here today. So thanks again, everyone, and we'll say farewell.
Goodbye.
Live, stop.